We are back, y'all. And we are back in a sweatsuit and a maternity bra. And if you're wondering, hey, Em, why do you have a maternity bra? Wish I had the answers for you. But if there is any time to wear a maternity bra, it would be with our gorgeous guest today, Miss Britt Rose. She is a body worker, and we're going to learn all about what does that mean? What is the umbrella term that is body work? And honestly, I learned a lot. She is just an earth angel. Even when you hear her talk, like, I feel like she's whispering little sweet nothings. Like, it's just, she's a damn fairy. So, come to this one maybe with a little bit of an open mind. Some of you may be into this work. Some of you may not. But I think there's something we can learn. I talk about trauma in my asshole, so just buckle up for that. And welcome to Emily Talks Too. We made it.
We made it.
I'm going to give you a little intro. Okay. And it's going to be hard because there's so many words that I could use to describe you. You are truly one of a kind. We have with us today one of the coolest body workers of all the land. We're going to get to know, what does body work mean? How does it differ from a massage? Is it the same? Is it not? And in the interest of transparency, I will say, I know this gal well. I see her once a month. And she has single-handedly changed my life. She knows everything from my silly little metal spine to me being constipated as a child. I mean, she has put up with so much of my bullshit. And so I'm so excited to finally maybe switch the roles a little bit. Let me dig in. Let me in. So we have Miss Brittany Rose.
Hello, hello.
Hi, sweet pea.
Hi.
Okay, so I want to kind of just jump right in.
Yeah.
How would you describe body work in its entirety? Like, how is that different from massage therapy? Like, is it an umbrella term? How would you describe what you do to someone who has no idea?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the umbrella term would actually be like the healing arts.
Okay.
And then there's all these therapies and modalities that are connected to each other that are under this umbrella in the world of healing. Massage for me personally, maybe there is an actual Webster dictionary definition of massage versus bodywork, but for me, I kind of relish massage to being more like spa massage, kind of.
It's like an experience.
It's an experience. It's wonderful. It's relaxing. It's maybe less, I want to use the word superficial, but I don't mean that in a negative way.
Right.
I think massage is kind of for like a relaxing, but then there's deep tissue massage. For me, body work encompasses a more of a embodied like journey that you go on with a client, that we walk hand in hand of taking control of your health, and I meet you where you're at, and we have maybe it's therapeutic, it's emotional, it's it encompasses the body, encompasses the psyche, the emotions, the spirituality. For me, it just feels more weighted. It has more depth and kind of solidity to it. It can kind of be whatever we want it to be. It involves somatic work with just, I don't know if that does.
I'm fully mesmerized. I mean, for anyone who's listening to you for the first time, your voice already takes me on a journey. It's like the most relaxing, meditative. You could tell me a blueberry muffin recipe and I'm fully invested. So, holy shit. So it really depends on probably the client, right? Like what their needs are, and then you just kind of help them on that journey.
Wants to come with me and they're like, I just have like neck and shoulder. And me, I'm like thinking already like, oh, what's the nature of the tension? You know, I want to go deeper, but you know, you can only go as far as the client's willing to meet themselves and allow you on that journey. Like you and I have gone really deep.
Right.
Really deep.
Yeah, you know my whole health history. I'm like, hi, I think I have trauma in my asshole. You're like, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. Yeah,
Let's talk about the trauma in your asshole.
Yeah, it's there. We
We
did.
We totally talked about your asshole.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
It was very bonding.
Very much. So you are on both sides of the spectrum in the sense that, like, if someone's literally like, hi, my hamstrings are tight, can you just, like, shove an elbow and, like, loosen the muscle?
Yeah.
And then you have my dumb ass being like, my butthole has trauma. And you're like, here for both of it. And everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're also a doula.
I am.
How does that get involved in the whole? Because when I'm assuming if someone comes to you and says, I would love for you to be my doula, you have to commit 9 months of your work, right? Or what does that look like?
No, not necessarily. What it would look like is you're really, you can be holding the client's hand throughout the entire journey of their birth. Or you could be like, hi, I'm about to give delivery in 1 month. Are you available to be my doula? So then if you agree to that, you can be available to them 2 weeks prior to the birthday or 2 weeks after the birthday, depending on when the baby decides to come. So really being a doula can mean whatever you and the client decide it means, but it generally involves knowing their birth, having an idea of their birth story, of what their idea of their birth experience is going to look like, and your job is to help them actualize their birth story as much as possible. Like if a pregnant woman says, I want to have a natural birth at home with no epidural, and you know, most women at some point are like faced with a decision of like, can I continue going through this naturally? Will my body let me? Is it safe to? You know, so all these things will come up, and then that's your job to help be the voice of reason, because you're and it's almost like they're operating at such a high vigilant place.
The pregnant women?
Yeah, and the partner, right?
Okay.
It's very emotional. It's very taxing. You're maybe not thinking clearly.
You're the person with the feet on the ground.
Very clear, because I would never disagree with a pregnant woman if they feel something. I'm like, I trust you.
Oh, she'll choke you out.
Yeah, she will choke you out. Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you want to help them have the birth that they envision, but at the same time be realistic when you have to have an intervention.
Right.
Like, this is actually not going to be healthy for you and the baby if we continue on this path, so we may need to intervene with an epidural. This has happened many times. Or like, no, things are good and clear, like we're almost to the finish line, we just have a little bit to go, just stick with it. I know it's hard, this is the final stretch. So it's just about
you really just hold their hand.
Yeah.
I mean, not to make it sound that simple. I also feel like people assume doulas are these like kind of like witchy, you show up in like a caftan and like crystal.
You're not that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also you're saying, hi, you may need an epidural and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, I mean, listen, do I want someone kissing my forehead and rubbing a feather on me? Yeah. I literally want a sound bath in the hospital room while it's happening. But it really, I'm sure that whole process, whether it's your first, second, 8th time, each time is different, emotionally, physically. I mean, who the fuck am I to say? I've never been pregnant, thank God. But to have someone with both feet on the ground being like, hi, I'm just going to help guide you. And let's be a little flexible. Like, what a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love that part of it.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get into this work?
Which work?
All of it. Or did it kind of start with one specific modality and then it just grew?
Oof. I mean, that's such that's a story.
Yeah.
You know, I never saw myself in the healing arts. This was not what I thought I would be doing.
Okay.
I feel like it found me.
Okay.
And I just kind of heeded the call. Because I was, at one point I was in anthropology, I was in fashion, and then life had a different plan for me.
Yeah,
and,
usually does.
Usually does, yeah. So I got into the healing arts. I started at, I had an experience of my own energy. I'm trying to think about how personal to get.
Okay.
But
when you were younger, 20s?
Yeah, I had a mentor very young who kind of helped foster my spirituality.
Okay.
From a very young age. I think it was innate. It was always there from my mother to the women who were in my life. So, but it's just about the people that were drawing out this aspect of myself.
Okay. And how do you even find a mentor? Or does the mentor find you?
Yeah, well, she was a therapist.
Okay.
But she also was a mentor.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still in touch to this day. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
A few weeks ago.
Okay. So it sounds like you probably had this just innate quality inside of you.
Yes.
And then with different experiences, it just kind of built on itself and then
landed me in rehab.
Okay.
Just to be really, there's no shame in it.
Yeah.
I went to rehab when I was 19 and had to reassess and reevaluate and make some changes.
Totally.
And that's when I went to a very holistic inpatient facility in Arizona with a women's only facility at like the ranching capital of the world in Wickenburg, Arizona. It's like population 10,000. And
oh my gosh. And was that really different from where you were previously?
Yeah, I was in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was beautiful. And it was just, it was the first time I experienced and understood the meaning of God. And it was just like something clicked and I was like, oh, I get it. I was watching a hummingbird. It was such a simple thing. It wasn't like a profound moment at all. It was watching a hummingbird feed and it's like, oh, that's what God is.
What you're describing, I feel like people may experience when they're 70 and you experienced when you were 19.
Yeah.
That's when I was 19, I was doing bottle service, like at a club, whipping a tit out. Like it wasn't good. And you were like, wow, the textures of nature are like support. That's wild.
Yeah, I was sober when I turned 21. I had a mango lassie for my 21st birthday. Yeah, so I had some experiences that kind of molded me and connected me to certain things that I wouldn't say are very common at the age.
Was that isolating?
Yeah, definitely. I felt very alone.
How did you find community?
I always had community and I always had friends even when I felt alone. I just had to trust my kind of North Star, you could say, my inner guidance that led me to move to LA and start at the Shiatsu School of Santa Monica, which no longer exists, RIP. But I just had this feeling and I trusted it and I followed it and built my life from scratch in LA.
Do you feel like right now in your life, this is where you need to be? Or are you feeling a calling to do something completely different? I
feel like I'm definitely doing what I'm meant to be doing. I'm in school. I'm finishing school for, as you know, scar tissue remediation of the pelvic floor. And it's changed my life.
Okay.
And with that said, there are parts of myself that do feel dormant, that want me to spend some time with, which my more creative, artistic side. Not that the healing arts aren't creative, but it's just a different type of expression that I think wants to be fed.
Well, I also feel like in what you do now, you are giving so much of yourself to other people, and you are kind of this like conduit for their healing where, first of all, how do you not deplete yourself? Like how, if you are in a constant state of giving and you have to listen to my dumb ass being like, I think from third grade, blah, blah, blah. How do you manage, like, how do you take yourself out of that?
I mean, I didn't even know what self-care truly meant until I got to a place of complete and utter breakdown.
So you like fully got depleted.
Oh, yeah.
You were
yeah,
like
yeah.
burnt
Completely.
out.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, just being available to anybody at any time without boundaries, without, I just didn't know. I didn't know. And now with my being older and wiser, I set boundaries with myself first and foremost. So, you know, I designed my life so that I can recover quickly.
Right.
Deeply and quickly.
Right.
And sometimes that means not working for a chunk of time to get myself caught up.
Do you have I don't know how to ask this in a nice way. Do you have certain people who are like more soul sucking than others?
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah, hungry vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely can meet people like that in this world.
Industry. I also feel like if you show up while someone is in like a mental health crisis or they want to heal, and here you are, you're so grounded, you're so kind, I feel like it's easy to almost look at you and be like, well, you'll fix me, or like, you'll do the healing for me. But that's not how it goes. You're there to help.
I think as any person, if you take on the responsibility of like, I'm going to fix you and I'm going to heal you, that would be a red flag.
Right. We had a sex coach in here and she was talking about something similar of like a lot of therapists have God complexes and who actually just want, like, you're never supposed to give advice as a therapist, you know? Okay, so then how did you build your clientele? Because you've got some VIPs in the roster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You famously were on Doctors, right?
I was on the Doctors TV show.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So how did you, for anyone who's starting maybe in this industry, like how do you start building?
You know, I can only speak from my experience. I started right away booking clients privately because But
how?
Okay, for instance, so I was confident right away doing bodywork massage.
Okay.
I would have called it more massage when I was younger. And I was very confident working at the level I was at then. So I remember I had this guy that I was, and this is going to sound creepy. This is totally going to be like creepy vibes, but I remember I was babysitting his daughter, and I remember he ended up being one of like my best clients for massage. Like,
obsessed.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, I charge this, and this is what I do. He's like, I'll try you out, and like,
So it's all kind of like word of mouth then.
Word of mouth, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. I built slowly.
But then how do you get the celebrities?
I knew that I didn't want to work in a spa.
Okay.
I knew that was not what I wanted. I wanted to work privately only.
Right.
Or with an agency or agent, which I've done, and that's been really good to me.
Okay.
So I built slowly. I had a day job, and then I would just let the clients build naturally.
So it took time.
Yeah, and I found my agent right away, too, when I was younger, so she connected me with work.
And we just talked about this because I was shocked to hear that you have an agent.
Yeah.
But in the way that you described it, it's really someone who's kind of connected to the, like, luxury lifestyle and maybe, like, clientele that would be interested in your work. So it's like a regular agent, right? Like, they take a cut.
They do.
Okay.
I phased them out a long time ago, a while ago. And then we've had just this weaving in, weaving out relationship for like 14 years. And they were at a time critical to my income and, you know, my base. And then when I outgrew the agency and had my own private clientele that I could subside off on my own completely without just purely word of mouth and the network that I built. And then if there was a job that came through that felt like, you know, like, do you want to go on tour? I'm like, I'll consider it, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I would say that my work is primarily like 90+% still my own.
If you don't mind me asking, when you were younger and you were starting this, was it ever dangerous going to like people's homes, or like, because when you're in a spa, you have at least the security of kind of this third person or like a safe place.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that also probably not so fun things can happen in a spa. But I also remember, I think the first time I saw you, I came to yours, your home. But then you travel.
I also travel.
So how do you kind of like suss out when
it's... Word of mouth is great, because usually it's a reputable person that's you can trust that it came through. However, when I was younger, for sure, when I was just more naive and I just, you know, I was less cautious, there were some sketchy situations that...
Have you ever had to stop?
What's that?
Have you ever had to like stop a session?
I'm trying to remember. It's more just like, guys, I mean, I think the person who I am now maybe would have stopped. I don't know that I knew then that I could, but nothing is jumping out at me.
Okay.
I've been very fortunate.
I feel like you have like a little protection.
I think I have had a protection like halo around me. Like, didn't mean I didn't encounter some like creepy guys.
Right.
But nothing really particularly happened when I was in a session with a client that for sure, like, I had some guys push some boundaries, but that hasn't happened to me in a really long time.
Because I'm sure once you get in that like referral loop, you're kind of in that like safer zone. But I'm sure when you start, you're really just like looking to build, and you never know what you're going to get. And in LA, people are fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
You never know.
Totally.
Okay, so getting a massage from Britt is truly an out-of-body experience. You will straight up get up on the table and crocodile Dundee my leg. You are like hoisting my thigh. And also you're 5'2". And you're like on the balls of your feet. It will never cease to amaze me what you're able to do. This is such a dumb question, but I have thought about this as you're literally mutilating my legs. Do you ever have to fart? Swear to, there's no way that you don't.
I probably have farted during a session.
That's so chic.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, excuse me, I need to go get some
my
more
phone.
Oil.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. In the last 16 years, I've definitely.
You have to.
Let it rip. So
that's what we love to hear. That is what we love to hear.
Any massage therapist who says they haven't is lying.
Yeah. There's no way.
Anyone. No. Any yoga teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Like, Bodywork is not just like they're standing on the side of the table, you know, getting in your scapula. Like, you are putting me in a pretzel. And I'm like trying to catch my breath because I didn't even know that these muscles existed. It's so nuts. When you ask someone, how's the pressure? Can you tell when they're lying?
Yeah, it's usually when they're not breathing.
So you can tell when they're not breathing?
Yeah, I can totally tell when someone's not breathing and they're just like wincing through it and hanging on and just like gripping, you know, you don't.
Right. Because there is this thing that happens, at least being on the massage table end of things, where all of my like autonomy, independence goes out the window. I'm like, literally whatever you need. I'm like, you could have an elbow in my trachea. And I'm like, I love it. Like, whatever. Does this work for you? It works for me.
No.
But
we don't want that.
You have to be intuitive at this point. Like, if someone is lying, I'm sure you pick up on it.
I mean, my strength would be my intuition.
Right.
In what I do. Sometimes there's no real rhyme or reason or like predestined map. It's just a sense and a feeling, and I trust it and I follow it.
Being on the receiving end of it, it is so wild because no massage is ever the same. there might be some things that carry over. For example, she knows that I tend to hold tension in my stomach. And she kind of, you know how like a cat makes biscuits? Like she's kind of starting to like make a little biscuit in my stomach. And all of a sudden there's kind of like I feel like you go into one area and it's kind of like pinching. This bitch goes, oh yeah, that's your ileocecal valve. Like we definitely need to work on that. I'm like, what? Like you just knew that that's where the problem was. Now, did it hurt? Yeah. But I know it was doing something positive.
And how does it feel now?
Incredible. It doesn't hurt.
Great.
That's what I'm saying. Like I mean, I've had sessions with you where I know you're studying scar tissue and like that's a huge part of your life right now. Can you talk about emotions trapped in scar tissue? This might be a little abstract for some people, but what are you learning when it comes to that?
Well, what we know about scar tissue is that it is alive. It holds information. Holds emotion. So scars literally hold emotion. So when you have an injury or trauma or anything and it gets trapped into that scar, you can remediate that scar, and emotional like unwinding can happen as a result, and things can come up. It's like opening the vaults and letting it air out. So we all have it.
Has that happened to you where someone worked on scar tissue with you?
It happened to me recently.
And what happened?
It was profound. Mine wasn't exactly scar tissue emotional release. It was muscular emotional release.
Whoa.
Yeah, my obturator internus muscle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, science.
Yeah.
We love.
Pelvic floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for all you listeners out there, if you want to bring your thumb into your vaginal canal and immediately go to the right 9 o'clock or to the left 3 o'clock, there's this muscle there that you can cross fiber with your thumb.
Whoa.
And massage. And it's called the guard dog of the pelvis. And so that muscle can get chronically tight and hold emotion. And I think, and the emotion associated with the OI, I think, is safety. I want to say, but so like, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the emotion that creates the chronic contraction of the muscle, or is it the chronic contraction of the muscle that creates the emotion of
like not feeling safe? Yeah.
So which is it? Both. Both are true. Both and. Okay. Either way, I received internal pelvic floor work from my teacher, and I had a profound emotional release that truly was also psychedelic.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There has to be a lot of trust. Really?
Yeah.
How long have you known the woman that did this?
I met her the week I moved to LA, so 16 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was also the demo person in front of I had at least 20 students' eyes on me at the same time it was happening. Yeah. So I'm talking, there's a deep, deep, deep trust, but there's, I think, an important element of also being witnessed and seen as it was happening. That created, I don't know, it was like, how could I have had this most profound release of my life that was also the most connected to myself I had ever felt in my entire life, while being witnessed in such a vulnerable state by my sisters in my school.
So can I ask you, for maybe those who aren't ready to jump to pelvic floor work, what are ways or maybe avenues or techniques that maybe someone can do to start being inquisitive about, are there certain things that maybe I can release, I can look at, I can reassess?
The best place for anybody to start is to understand that we all have inner authority and embodied autonomy, which is like the foundation of this school that I'm in. And the philosophy is that your power, your choice that lives within you is not outside of you. So learning to reassess and come back down to the body, come back down to yourself, and check in with yourself, like where am I in this moment? Do I feel safe? Do I feel excited? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel apathetic? Do I feel depressed? Even knowing where you are on the emotional regulation scale, like that's a great place to start.
Just starting to ask yourself.
Because you don't know where to go if you don't know where you are.
Ooh, come on now. You don't know where to go if you don't know where you are. But I feel like some people don't even know where they are. Like there's a level too of like...
Because usually we're looking outside of ourselves for the authority figures, right? When we are infants growing up, we are dependent on authority figures to keep us safe. But at some point, we outgrow that and we realize that we are in charge of our safety. But we have been taught as a society that that kind of becomes the way of the norm, right? Like the government decides what's right for your body, your choice to have an abortion or not, right? That's a really clear example of outsourcing your authority or having it taken from you.
Right.
So I think it really just requires people to slow down and get still, and it's a practice.
Wow.
It's truly a practice to figure out where am I in this moment right now based off of not what anybody else says. Like, what am I? Who am I? Where am I?
And that can take a long time. I feel like sometimes people think you'll get through that phase quickly.
Yeah.
But, starting that relationship with yourself can be not easy.
And there are experiences that will pull us away from ourselves. Like, so I had that experience on the table with my teacher, which was the most connected to myself I'd ever felt in my entire life, ever. And then immediately walking outside the doors, there's all these things that will always call your attention and pull you away from yourself, whether it's work, friends, family matters, job stuff, the world, the war, all these things, and then we can hold the balance is to hold both.
Right.
And not lose yourself.
That seems like a lifelong practice.
It is. Yeah.
Wow. All right, sweet people. Every episode we do a little bit of word association.
Okay.
So I'm going to say some words.
Great.
And I want to know either the first thing that comes to your mind, whether it's a word, phrase, person, place, whatever.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Muscle.
Bone.
Water birth.
Baby.
Somatic release.
Emotions.
Rainforest cafe.
Ick.
Just so moist. Bop it.
Beep it.
Fucking loved Bop It. Did you play that as a kid?
No.
Twist It, Bop It, the little we were jerking off a toy as a kid. You remember this?
No.
Pull it? No? Ooh! Okay, so if you don't mind me getting a little personal now.
Yeah, let's do it.
When you date,
Yeah.
I've always wondered this. Do the people you date always assume you're going to give them a massage? I feel like, chefs who when they come home from a shift, are they going to cook dinner?
They just want in and out.
Yeah, I'd be like, if you think for 1 second I'm going to touch the pepper grinder, you're out of your fucking mind. So how do you deal with that?
I think I owe some apologies to some exes that maybe didn't get their fair share of quality touch from me.
Were you almost touched out?
Touched out or just not into it.
Right.
I'm in a different place in my life now, so
yeah,
I'm very excited to touch and share that with somebody.
Right, right. We probably have those boundaries now that we were talking about, where maybe
I think my exes felt bad asking for it because they knew how much I worked and that was what I did for a living, and I don't know. It's an important thing to share with a partner, and I want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you like being on the receiving end of that? Or are you like, I know what a good
100%,
massage is? Oh, you do? Even if it's bad?
Well, that's the thing is my older self, or as my younger self, excuse me, had partners whose touch I hated. Like their touch made me cringe. And is that not an obvious, that should be a clear sign, like,
They've got to go.
Gotta go.
When you say touch, like in the most basic sense of touch, or like sexually, like wall?
No,
everything?
I mean, like, so if there's a spectrum of touch from like kind of non-sensual to fully on the scale of sensuality to sexual touch, like any range of that touch I could have not liked.
Oh my gosh.
Because I mean, even when somebody just puts their hand on your shoulder, right, like a friend, there's a certain quality to that touch.
But you were like, if you touch me, I swear to fucking God, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, or it just didn't click. No.
But you're saying you're in a different space now where you want to both receive and provide.
Oh, it's like a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It's like, get out of here if you're
not.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning.
It's something innate, right?
I want to ask you about this. Is that something that you think people can change?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I think so if they want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe if someone isn't as open to physical affection, like if I'm with someone, I am breastfeeding you. I can't not touch you. I need to have a pinky. Now when we're sleeping, you are on the other side of the bed. Don't even think about touching me. But like, and I'm so used to that being my norm.
Yeah.
But I have to realize that some people are not that far on that spectrum. But you're saying that maybe people can become more affectionate?
I have converted some exes. Like I had an ex who used to never want to even cuddle.
Okay.
And he became like a cuddle monster when dating me. And he just
It's my dream.
He was like, what have you done to me?
So it's almost like sometimes you have to show them the love in order for them to give it.
It's vulnerable. It's some people, it's so, like for me, it's not really, it's a no-brainer. I don't really have to think about it. But for some people, it causes anxiety. Like some people were never hugged as a child.
Right.
So then to be connecting physically with somebody in a non-sexual way, because oftentimes those people, the only way that they experience physical connection is through sex. It's like very all or nothing. And that's, you're really depriving yourself a whole range of
what's in between that.
Of what's in between that all or nothing range of
Right.
touch. There's so many expressions of touch that are just luxurious and comforting and sensual and simple or erotic or divine, and that's pleasure. Pleasure is like the full diverse expression of touch, not just like
penetration.
Yeah.
How do you not constantly end up in like a caregiver role with men? Or do you?
I think it would be unfair to say that it hasn't. It would be unfair to say it doesn't go both ways. I have had some of the most loving, attentive boyfriends and partners. So
that filled your cup, that didn't leave you in a place where you're continually giving and giving and giving and not receiving.
Yeah, and sometimes they gave more. And sometimes
how do you find
on the
those?
Receiving end. Yeah.
Where are those men?
They're out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Give them my number.
I think it's just like a give and take,
Right.
And sometimes that's just what a relationship is. Sometimes one person is excelling, the other one is struggling, or one person has more energy to give and one person needs to just receive more. But
kind of ebbs and flows a little bit.
It just depends. I mean, it's hopefully you're in an equilibrium where basically, like, if you're in a period where you're the one that's constantly giving, hopefully that's just a phase. But if you get stuck there and that's just what becomes habit and pattern, that's when we need to overhaul the system.
Got it.
And reinvent it. And like if your partner is willing to go on that journey of like evolving to be more fair, great. But they may not be. And that may be just who they are.
Right. They just want to take.
Take.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I want to close with a question I ask everyone.
Okay.
What is something that you wish more people understood about you as a body worker?
Well, you know, I'm a yoga teacher as well, and so there's different ways we can work through the body. It doesn't have to be on the massage table. It could be just, we can tailor it to you and your nervous system.
Yeah.
And it could be going for a walk and talking, or it could be like hardcore, like knees and your glutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a journey that I'm willing to walk with anybody on and go into the depths and the darkness. And like, I love that shit.
Oh, and you can tell.
Let's do this. Let's get our hands dirty.
Yeah.
But I will meet you where you're at, and we will find our way that makes sense for us.
Totally. Yeah, I will say there's just something so authentic about you in what you do, and I just want to scream your name on the mountaintops because you really have a gift. And I think in an industry where there's a lot of phonies, there are a lot of people who want to take advantage of you. You just maintain a lot of integrity and a lot of just like genuine care in what you do. And it's palpable. So I'm going to put your website in my little links.
Oh, yeah. If you have anybody who wants to redo my website.
If we have some graphic designers.
It's so primitive.
No, it's amazing. I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I love you to pieces.
Well, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When your elbow is in my ass. Can't wait.
Let's finish our burrito.